a species of monster that was so devastating to humankind that it led to the creation of the great Gamera. And the two species have waged war ever since. Real quick, residents, do you think Gamera should be held in the same respect as Godzilla? I just recently watched all the Heisei Gamera movies, and I'm curious to learn what you all think. Now, with Gyaos once again returning in Gamera Rebirth, we are going to go back to this creature's origin story from the Heisei era of kaiju lore, and explain to you why Gamera's main purpose was to hunt them down and destroy them. In this universe, there was once an ancient advanced civilization known as the Atlanteans, yes, the same ones from the mythical story about the lost city of Atlantis. Just like the myth, the Gamera lore also states that this once great place one day, suddenly, disappeared. But unlike our real-world story, which has the ancient city being consumed by the ocean, this tale has them being wiped out by their own creation, Gyaos. Thousands of years ago, the Atlanteans had already mastered the natural world and became so mighty that they began to play God. In an effort to genetically engineer the perfect organism, Gyaos was born. Legend has it no one knows why they chose to create Gyaos, but a quick search in our real world's human history supports that the beast was intended to be a super-powered biological weapon of mass destruction. The Atlanteans thought they created the perfect being, but all they really did was create a monster. Speaking of monsters, the Godzilla TV show is said to have both new and old monsters returning, and that has me stoked for the future. Godzilla and Kong have been hard at it getting swole for the upcoming movie, and they're able to keep doing that thanks to the sponsor of this video, HelloFresh. Subscribing to HelloFresh will save you the time of having to go out to the grocery store, and during this cold winter, you can stay inside where it's warm. Their line of meals taste fantastic and are really fun to make thanks to their alpha tier recipe cards. In about 15 minutes, your meals will be delicious and ready to get in your belly. I'm actually hardcore getting back into a health and workout regimen, gonna lose a bit of that gut I've been earning over the last couple of years. And HelloFresh's assortment of premium proteins and fresh veggies that come right off the farm will help me reach my goals and you too. Just click our own Dangerville link down in the comments and description and you will get a limited time discount plus free shipping. Now back to the video. The story goes that not much time passed before the Gyaos experiment went haywire. In their attempts at creating Earth's best life form, they mistakenly made an error in the genetics that would allow quick reproduction. One or two Gyaos might have been able to be tamed, but when those two breed and suddenly you have dozens or hundreds of winged super beasts capable of shooting laser beams out of their mouths, and covering vast distances in little time, swarming the vicinity, death and destruction was inevitable. The Gyaos population boomed, and they began to consume the local humans alive, attacking their mighty civilization and bringing the great city of Atlantis into a state of despair. But they didn't go out easily. In a last-ditch effort to save their world, the Atlanteans gave it all they had in creating another weapon that could fight the Gyaos. These people created giants to fight giants, the Gamera. But this process took time, and many experiments led to failures, until one time they got it right, and the giant shelled kaiju as we know him was born. A perfect guardian created to fight the perfect weapon, classic. Gamera alone went on to kill all living Gyaos and was a massive success. The monster's connection to the natural world allowed the champion of Atlantis to make quick work of most of the Gyaos swarm. And in this time, Gamera was able to learn and perfect his fighting skills, eventually becoming the alpha kaiju we see in the Heisei era. But it was too late, and the Atlantis civilization could not survive. So you may have just thought, if Gamera hunted and wiped them all out, how did they return in the late 1900s, the time of the movies? While it's true that Gamera managed to kill all the Gyaos before retiring from the war on their species, some of the creatures had nests that were never discovered, and thus were left to remain dormant until conditions allowed them to hatch and be unleashed once again. When just that happened, Gamera was once again awoken, and this is why in the Heisei films, the character is so hellbent on hunting down the Gyaos, prioritizing it above all else in most instances. This is, of course, what Gamera was engineered to do. If you like that Gamera video and want more on the big turtle guy, share this video around and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. As each monster appearing in Gamera Rebirth is revealed, we intend on exploring and making videos on the lore and origins for the kaiju, so make sure and stick around for that. Now, in the beginning of the video, I mentioned how I wanted to know if you guys thought Gamera should be held in like the same light as Godzilla, in terms of big epic kaiju monsters. I have to admit, I didn't watch the Gamera films until recently, and I just finished all the Heisei movies, and I actually really enjoyed them. I don't want to go and offend any of you guys, but realistically, I like them more than a lot of the Godzilla movies, and I just want to know what you guys think of the Gamera franchise overall. It seems like it gets forgotten in the grand scheme of things, and in my opinion, where I thought it was, kind of better than most of the Heisei era of Godzilla films, I was like, wow, why did this not get more popular back in the day? So I want to know if you guys know any reason why that is. So when you read about the Gamera movies, they kind of sound like they're kind of more kid-based movies because it's like, oh, a kid has a connection with a giant turtle, right? Sounds a little goofy. But then I go and watch the Heisei movies and my mind gets kind of blown because they're really good. They're all just on par, at least on my opinion, with Godzilla vs. Destroyer, which is definitely one of the best Toho Godzilla movies ever made. And so I'm pleased that Gamera Rebirth is coming out because it's allowing me to, get into the Gamera franchise, and hopefully more of you out there will follow my path and explore this really cool kaiju world. So like I said, go and discuss down below. I want to hear your opinions on this. As always everyone, this has been Jacob, and I will see you in the next one.